Okay, I'll give a quick demo on how to make a Bargello star like this one. So first you'll need your mesh for embroidering into, and I've also got some yarn. You want to work with quite short pieces of yarn. I would say approximately a metre. Now a metre is from one, if you hold it in your fingertips and pull it to your opposite shoulder with a straight arm, that's approximately a metre. We're actually doubling up this yarn, so that would be 2 meters. So you could double it up. This is double knit. Depending on what yarn you're using, you might only need 1 strand, but we are using 2 because this is a finer yarn, just to make sure it fills in all the holes. So if you just thread your needle and then get your ends, you can tie a knot, but you don't have to. And what we do, so with the first part's slightly different. So we're going up this central part here, and we'll be going backwards and forwards, well, looping around, so like a whip stitch around that middle bit, which is slightly different to when we come to do the main body of the point. So I will quickly show you how to start that off. If you pull your thread almost all the way through, and then just hold a little bit of the tail at the back, and then we can sew over that. Try not to get tangled. So coming up and round to the next one and looping it through. And you want to do this in quite sort of slowish motion. You don't, if you pull it too fast, it might get tangled. That's another reason for not having the yarn too long. So you're just looping it around and securing that back section. So if I just keep going to the top, and then I will come back down and show you how the main body of the point is done, and then I'll show you the edge and also some finishing off. So we're just looping it around and around, and eventually the tail at the back will disappear underneath these stitches, like so. Just a few more to do. So what you can choose to do is just carry on with those parts, but I will probably come down here and I would go around, but for this demo I'll come back down here and then I'll go along an edge just to show you how to finish off the edge. So now you're sort of working downwards towards the point, so you're coming down and going straight sort of up, so then you come down one and in. And you just need to make sure you're not coming back out the same hole that you've gone into, because you'll undo your stitch. And as you can see, my yarn's starting to get a bit twisted, so you can just let go of your needle and let it dangle, and it'll untwist. Oh, there you go, gone into the wrong hole. And just make sure you're going to the next hole down and the next one on the up as well. So then you just keep sewing. You can leave more gaps between your stitches. You could potentially come down and do a longer stitch almost in these done on the straight, but you could potentially do something like that. If we keep going until we get to this, and then I'll show you along how we go along the edge. Oh. And it's probably worth just waiting until you get to the edge. If you've got a bit of yarn left, then you can carry on along the edge, but I would probably do all the edging at the end. So that's that line complete. Then if you come back up here, you can whip around the edge. So you're just literally going around to the next hole and around to the next hole. And again, we're getting a bit twisted, so if you just let go, it should unravel for you. Come back up there, back, bit of a gap there we go. And on the corner, I just tend to pop 2 in there, just to try and make sure we cover up the extra part on the corner, like that. And then once you've finished, once you get to a point where you need a little bit of thread left to thread it underneath. I might struggle to do this because it's on the bigger bits, but smaller stitches. But on this bigger bit, should be easier to thread underneath, but you just weave your end. Like I say, it may be slightly difficult to do here. If I show you on this bit, for instance, so when you've got your thread left, try and go under an end like this, and you can just pull it through and go under a few stitches. It might be a bit harder to pull your needle through, and then you can just snip it off, and that's sort of that bit finished. Obviously you've got a little loop there, but if you ignore that, that's those bits done. And then you just carry on in the same method, following this design or your own. You can actually do each one of these a different colour if you wanted, like going into a rainbow would be quite nice. And then you can finish off the back with a bit of felt, and you can stick this on with a glue gun or some Yoo-hoo glue, or even some super glue if that's all you've got. So you just use you can use your template to draw around, just with a biro is fine, or a pencil, and then you can cut that out. And there you have a nice festive Bargello star.